Hey. I'm Phys Music, and this right here is Urban Politics. I want to thank you for joining me on a Sunday afternoon. This is July 3rd. We're right around the corner from July 4th, which means a lot of things, a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And I'll leave that at that. Because that's not even what I want to talk about right now. There's all types of tasty and delicious politics to sink our teeth into. So I want to get right into it like a corn drive. And the hot button issue, the thing people just can't stop talking about, going on and on and on about what? Abortion. But I want to talk about abortion and black women because I'm a black man. So I want to talk about abortion and black women. And when I think about it, well, a lot of y'all know that, I look at a lot of TikTok, right? I watch a lot of TikTok. And if you watch TikTok, you see a lot of white women coming at black women saying that, where are you at? You know what I'm saying? Where you at with the protests and the marches and all that good stuff. But then we're going to talk about some of the reasons why this may not be black women's fight. Ergo, I think it is not black women's fight, and they know that. And that is the reason they're kind of taking the stance that they are. Like, well, nah, y'all figure this out amongst yourselves because we've been under fire for a long time, and we got other fish to fry. I get that, but if you see how the government has basically raw dogged the black woman and the black woman's maternal health, then you can also see why sisters are like, guess what? We don't really give a DAM right now. Let's talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. You know I'm a numbers guy. I like to start with the numbers because men lie. Women lie, but the numbers, ladies and gentlemen, they don't lie. Now, I've asked I asked women, I asked a lot of young women. I said, are there actually out there, or women out there who are using abortion as birth control, right? And you know what I'm saying? Even my own woman came back at me and said, yeah, that's going on. There are women out there who are using abortion as birth control. Is crazy, and as heinous as that may sound to you, that happens. I was like, well, okay. And then the big question is, who's having more abortions? So let's check out the numbers, ladies and gentlemen. 23.8% are black women of abortion. 11.7% are Hispanic women. 6.6% are white women, and 13% are other race. So sisters are having a lot of abortions. Abortion rates are 3 to 6 times higher among black women when compared to white women. But there are causes for that. There's a lot of reasons why one would have an abortion, right? Causes unintended pregnancies. So a lot of that can be like rape or incest, stuff like that. Unequal access to qualifying family planning services. And when I'm talking about this family planning services, I'm not talking about Planned Parenthood because that ain't family planning. That was Margaret Sanger and a whole thing that she had to get rid of black babies. And I could go into a whole thing about that. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We do not have time. So please, I urge upon you to Google that later, the founding of Planned Parenthood and all of that stuff. But I will say things can change. And they do say that only 1% of Planned Parenthood is abortion these days. So maybe Planned Parenthood started out as something bad under Margaret Sanger to get rid of black and brown babies. But maybe these days it's actually providing health care to poor mothers. Moving on. Once again, we'll deal with that another day. Economic disadvantage. Some of these sisters just poor and can't afford another baby. And distrust of the medical system. Whole lot of that going on, and there's a reason for that. A huge reason for that. A lot of it is warranted because we do end up being the test subject or the guinea pigs for a lot of programs. We'll get into that in a minute here. Black women are more likely to live in contraception deserts. I never heard of such. Contraception deserts. Now, we all know what contraception is. Contraception is a way to not get pregnant. They're living in contraception deserts. So places where there is absolutely no way to get access to contraception. 15-year-old to 49-year-olds are less likely to use prescription contraception, probably because of healthcare, and we'll get into that in a minute too, or less, not having access to this healthcare. 18 to 24 prefer condoms. Black women are uninsured at twice the rate of white women. Black women in Medicaid expansion states have experienced fewer maternal deaths. Well, duh. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that. Come on. States that accepted the Medicaid expansion, accepted Obamacare, I'm sure the sisters in that state are getting way better health care than some of these other states and other southern states that for whatever reason, probably because that guy's black, for whatever reason, didn't want, I laughed to keep from crying, ladies and gentlemen, for whatever reason, didn't want to take the Medicaid expansion, didn't want to take Obamacare. So now you have them getting shoddy maternal care. White infants die. And then think about some of these. And I say all of this to say, when you think about why is it that this is not sisters' fights, think about all these things I'm reading to you right now. And this is the way that our government has had its way with sisters' maternal health. Should they care? Right? Is this their battle when they've been targeted all these years and nobody even cared, right? Listen, I'm not done yet, unfortunately. White infants die at a rate of 4.9 while black babies 11.3. Are you serious? Black babies die at a rate of 11.3 while white babies die at 4.9. It's all about healthcare. Black women are 4 times more likely to die in childbirth. I read some of this stuff and I'm like, if I was a black woman, and I got pregnant, I think I'd have an abortion just because of that right there. Black women are 4 times more likely to die in childbirth. No thanks. I don't even think I want to take the journey knowing that I'm 4 times more likely to die during it. That's just me. I'm a selfish dude. Probably be a selfish chick. Anyway, moving on. Fannie Lou Hamer, who's a civil rights legend. If you don't know her, look that name up. Fannie Lou Hamer, you look her up. That sister was dynamic, right? She was given a hysterectomy without her consent. And guess what? That happened so much where she was from, she called it the Mississippi appendectomy. That's what she called it. It was so commonplace for them to get a sister up on the operating table and give her a hysterectomy without her knowing it. She dubbed it the Mississippi appendectomy. Listen, 4 sterilization projects all over America around the 1930s. So that's what happened. See, the tables turn, right? Check this out. We went from being a resource to being a nuisance. Once slavery was abolished, the government went from paying us to have kids to sterilizing us. So that's what happened. There was a point when the government was paying black folk to have babies. Why? More babies, more slaves. But when slavery got abolished, then it wasn't profitable anymore. Now these black folk is a nuisance. If anything, we want less of them. So now we got to do something to take care of that, right? So in 1973, out of 150,000 cases of taxpayer-funded sterilization in Alabama, half were black women. There was a drug, and I remember this drug when I was younger. I remember hearing this word Norplant. I think I dated some chicks who were on this. I'm not even going to lie. Norplant. Which actually, I think it lasts 5 years. If I'm wrong, ladies, give me some pushback. You know what's good, fizzandmusic at gmail.com. Was tested on black teens in Baltimore. It was supported by David Duke. If you don't know the name David Duke, then you're an idiot. And I guess you can lump yourself in with Trump, who claims he didn't know who David Duke was. But something tells me you and Trump know who David Duke is. This guy was Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan. He's a racist POS. That's all that needs to be said. Well, he supported it, right? And he ran on a platform of giving every welfare mother $100 a year if she took it. So there it is. That was him kind of trying to do like some population control, right? Because he was like, all these black welfare mothers, they get on this Norplant, we could stop them from having babies. James Marion Sims, that's a name I got to bring up. I didn't have time to talk about him. That guy's a piece of garbage. Please Google this man. He's the modern father of gynecology, but he performed experiments on black women with no anesthetic, 0 anesthetic, ladies and gentlemen. And there was anesthetic at the time. He just chose not to use it under the guise of, well, these are slaves and they don't feel pain. And even if they do, so what? They're not really human. It's about the equivalent of hurting a dog or a bird, you know what I'm saying? Or some other animal. These aren't humans. I'm not making this up. I wish I was, but James Marion Sims, that's another reason that black women are like, come on, man. Y'all been raw dogging us for years. You think we're going to pick up a sign and go crazy because they taking it? First of all, you know what I'm saying? And then one sister even said it too. They're not tripping off of our babies. They don't care nothing about these black and brown babies. They care about them white babies. So y'all white women, get your stuff together. I mean, you kind of have to feel her on that because these are facts. Ain't nobody done nothing about this. This just happened. It is what it is. It's history and things go and the band marches on, right? So there's that. He did that. That's a real thing. Didn't even have time to talk about him, but please look up this royal POS, James Marion Sims, who had a statue in New York that I think they took down in 2018. Enough people got together and said, hey man, take this demon beast statue off this lawn here. You know what I'm saying? He tortured and probably murdered, I'm sure, some you know what I'm saying, some black women, all under the guise of medical experimentation. You know, and that's why I'm like, this POS, he could have used anesthetic. He chose not to. Anyway, moving on. I want to tell a little story. Let's tell a little story. I want to tell a story about how school lunch was saved for millions of poor kids. For now. That's the caveat. For now, it's been saved. But let's talk about how it got saved, right? Okay, so the Republicans cut universal free school meals from the congressional budget. So tens of thousands of Americans signed petitions calling on them to extend the program, especially now when American families are hurting, which makes so much sense. We're coming out of a pandemic. There's plenty of people who haven't worked in months. If they have, they've worked part-time. All types of crap is going on right now, and that's when you want to cut free lunch for poor kids? Sounds like the GOP. You know what I'm saying? Kick them while they down. Hit them where it hurts. Anyway, so all this is going on, you know what I'm saying, right now, while families are hurting, y'all want to cut the free lunch programs. So that pressure from families and other people on Congress made them come to the table and negotiate an extension of this vital program. Now we need to keep the pressure on Congress to make sure that the program continues into fall of 2022. And there it is. That's the story, ladies and gentlemen. Believe it or not, the GOP, they cut school lunches. Now, I would put it in everybody's I put it on everybody's to-do list. Go and find out these royal POSs. Go and Google this list of Republican senators who voted against free meals for poor kids. Please do that. And I guarantee you, some of these ladies and gentlemen you have probably voted for, I would press upon you, do not vote for them anymore. If anything, you vote for anybody running against them. Because that is doggone ridiculous. Really? Really? I don't care who you are. I don't care what side of the aisle that you sit on. You vote against free lunch for poor kids? How do you do that and look at yourself in the mirror? But these ladies and gentlemen have, and I didn't read their names on my show here. Why? Because I don't have the time to do it. We got bigger fish to fry, more interesting stuff to talk about. But these losers, most of them probably look up to Trump, so I'll use language that they understand. You losers voted against poor kids. That is the direct opposite of what you sent there on Capitol Hill to do. Somebody tell these ladies and gentlemen that they're there to help the weakest among us. Somebody tell them that they're there to help the most vulnerable in our population. Somebody tell them that, because obviously they have lost sight of that. And for that, they need to lose their job. Get them out of there. Like I said, I've seen the list. I've looked at it, and anybody I'm close to, they'll never get my vote again. First of all, I've never voted Republican a day in my life. I don't necessarily say that is a badge of honor these days, but I'm just keeping it real. So I ain't never voted for none of them schmucks on that list. But I never would and I never will, because that is doggone ridiculous. How you vote against poor kids? And maybe I take that to heart because, like I said, and if you watch the show, you know I've dedicated my life to working for kids. And then it really blows me away that you have a party who has the audacity to call people who sit on the left groomers and talk about how Democrats are the party of infanticide because they support safe and legal abortions and a woman's right to choose. But y'all would vote against these kids eating. Right? So you'll make a woman have a baby, but then you won't feed it? And that's what I'm talking about with the GOP. It's the hypocrisy of our democracy, like Chris Rock said. That's what people don't like, and that's what that is. The hypocrisy of our democracy. You go so hard about the right to life and how this unborn fetus has a right to life. But then when it's born, you don't want to do anything to help it. You won't even pray for it to get a free meal. And how about this? Y'all claim to be the party of education, but you done threw that out the window years ago. And we know for a fact, thanks to the Black Panthers, you can Google this, ladies and gentlemen. These days I tell people, please Google everything that comes out of my mouth so you can get an education. But thanks to the Black Panthers, we know that when a child eats a good meal in first or second grade, they're liable to stay in school and make it all the way to graduation because their belly is full and they're in a better state to receive the education coming from that teacher. So there's that. And that is what it is, man. Like I said, I just go there, I guess, ladies and gentlemen, because kids, they near and dear to my heart. I've spent my whole adult life working with the youth, and I'll probably die working with kids, you know what I'm saying? Because I like it. So, TI is what it is, and this, and politics, obviously. So, but I tied the two together anyway. But anyway, moving on. I want to talk about the last thing. Like I said, I watch a lot of TikTok. You know what I'm saying? And y'all know that I'm always, if anybody, follow me on Facebook with it, I'm always posting, like TikTok stuff or all that. And there was a thing I first saw it on TikTok, but now I done seen it on Facebook and everywhere else. Everybody's all abuzz about this, I guess this, you can't call it a meme. Okay, so it was a TikTok where, you know what I'm saying, girl curses out her baby's dad because, he had only got his child a Happy Meal, right? So, the scene is you see the girl and she's sitting there talking stuff about, the dude bringing his child, who obviously, she has other children, but he's not the father of these other children. So he's bringing his child some McDonald's, right? And, you know what I'm saying? She going on and on. He bringing out the McDonald's or whatever, the Happy Meal, and then she all cursing him out about it. She like, I got other kids, and how you just gonna bring some McDonald's just for your child, and they want some McDonald's too. You should have brought some for them too, and how you gonna be eating in front of them and da, right? So there was one sister who gave a rebuttal, and she said that it was not, his obligation to get the other kids anything. And I hear that, you know what I'm saying? And she was saying that there's a difference, right, between obligations and responsibilities and stuff like that. So she was saying, if he wanted to, that would have been nice of him to get the other kids some McDonald's, but he was not obligated to do that. The only obligation and responsibility he had was to his child. I get that, and I actually agree with that. That is true. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm not even sure if this was a situation, but this situation plays out a lot in the black community. It's played out a lot with me and sisters that I've dated in the past. And these are conversations that are coming up through things like TikTok and memes and different stuff like that. That's going around on social media. But these are conversations that my community needs to have. Right? And there was another brother on TikTok that I follow who was saying that, but he was talking about some other stuff that we're dealing with in the black community that's coming up on TikTok and other places. And he said, believe it or not, he said, there's been some movement made in our community, but it comes through these hard, tough conversations. And it does. Because believe it or not, that's what this is. See how much popularity that this garnered and got. Go look at the comments. And we're having some good conversations there because what we're seeing is you always have all these different perspectives. And I think even as black folk, we think that we're a monolith, and I'm guilty of that, and my father had to get me straight on that. Back in the day, plenty of black people in politics, I'd be like, oh, well, he black, his skin just as dark as mine. How can he feel such and such and such a way? My dad was like, look, he's a different person. He's an individual. So why would he feel like you? Sure, his skin just as dark as yours. Sure, he's just as black as you, but he's a different person. His experiences have been different. So he's going to think differently. She's going to think differently. That's what's up. So come on now. How about this? Plenty of us have brothers and sisters. Do you think the same way as your brothers and sisters? About some things, but not about everything, because they're different human beings. Even though y'all grew up in the same house, y'all grew up eating the same food, y'all grew up listening to some of the same music, right? You still are different people with different perspectives and different ways of seeing things, different ways of dealing with things. So this is what we find out as a people with this, because like I said, the one sister was saying how there's plenty of brothers who don't do ish for their children. So when we have one who steps up and does do good, we need to applaud that. And she said, look, there was nothing wrong with what he did. She said, if anything, sister, you take him to the side and you tell your baby's dad, hey, how about this? Next time you want to give, our baby a Happy Meal, how about you grab them and take them to McDonald's just so they ain't eating in front of their other brothers and sisters, because I ain't got the money to get them McDonald's right now, and I don't want them to feel some type of way because they brother or sisters eat McDonald's in their face. Boom! That's called being a mature adult and handling like a mature adult. But see, we have to have these conversations, right? That knowledge has to be shared because everybody don't have it. And my mom always tells me that too. Eddie, don't take it for granted that people don't know things. Sometimes you have to share things with people. Something that you think is commonplace, something that you think is trivial, something that you think is common knowledge, maybe not so much. So share that knowledge. And this knowledge is being shared on social media. We need that. And I agree. I think that's what the case is right there. You know what I'm saying? In that case, that's what should happen. You know, that brother, he want to take his son or daughter to McDonald's or whatever, get them some McDonald's. You know, maybe you grab them for an hour or two, you take them out, you know what I'm saying, on a little father-son, father-daughter outing, and you take them to McDonald's and get them that, and you don't have to do it in front of the other children, their other siblings, whose fathers may not be active like that. Now, there were other people who were chiming in on the comments, and some of them were saying what I've seen. I had a lot of friends who grew up like that. You know what I'm saying? They had a brother or sister who had a different father. That different father was way more active than their father, came around all the time, took them out all the time, bought them stuff and all that. And sometimes that child would come back and share with their other siblings who didn't have that. And that's extremely appropriate too, and that's heartwarming to hear, you know, and that goes on a lot around here. Lo and behold, if you talk to some people, but that's how it should be, you know what I'm saying? But that man is not obligated, because how's that? And then the sister was even saying that too. Well, no, actually, somebody else had said that, talking about what that look like. So what, he's supposed to spend $20, $25, $30 every time he go to McDonald's, because now he got to buy 3-4 kids a Happy Meal. Plus his child, happy man. That's asking too much, and he's not obligated to do that. But see, these conversations need to be had, you know, and there are bigger conversations in the black community that TikTok and some of these social media outlets are giving way to. They're hard conversations. And sometimes as a black community, we have to deal with nonsense in our community too. Because we got a lot of jokesters, we got a lot of trolls, we got a lot of black folk who are just silly and really just can't get past third grade on some things. Guess what? We got to deal with them and leave them behind. But we have to deal with them. We have to deal with their comments and all of that good stuff too. So it TI is what a TI is. Woo! Man, I am sweating like TD Jakes up here. So you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen? We are at the end of our time. I do not have an IPA of the week for you. You know why? Because I done sipped a lot of IPAs. They ain't really doing much for me. I need to get into some more milk stouts. I'm going to find another milk stout to get a hold of or whatever. It is 4th of July weekend. I shared a TikTok. It was a white teacher, and she was letting her kids go for the summer. And she was like, yeah, well, you're being inundated by all that red, white, and boom madness. Remember that you're celebrating some slave-owning white men who didn't want to pay taxes. I was like, whoa! Whoa! You know, and then that's what's funny, because that ain't a hot take, but I can't. That is not a hot take, ladies and gentlemen. That is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I just call that a bit of truth, ladies and gentlemen. But that was interesting to see that coming from a little white woman to a bunch of white kids. But I think that's probably another reason that Trump didn't like TikTok, because you see a lot of that on TikTok. So it TI is what a TI is. Happy 4th to you. And I don't say that like I celebrate the 4th or anything. I just say happy 4th to you, because this is the 3rd, and this will probably reach you on the 4th. Because it'll be a Monday. So that's what's up. What can I say? Thank you for joining me here. I'm your humble host, Fizz and Music. This right here is Urban Politics, where politics lives. And as always, see you around like a donut.